Stop! Don't you dare walk away from me! Come back here!
The summer heat in Phoenix had a way of bleaching everything: colors, patience, even dreams if you weren't careful. From the cracked sidewalk outside his apartment to the old Chevy Cruze he drove, the world always felt like it was baking. But today was different. Today, the heat couldn't touch him. Evan Mercer was going to nail this interview. He stood in front of the mirror, tugging at the sleeves of his only good dress shirt. White, crisp, almost too crisp. He'd ironed it 3 times out of nerves. He pushed his unruly brown hair back, trying to look like someone whose life wasn't balancing on the edge of a paycheck. At 26, he was tired of gig jobs, temp work, and the gnawing anxiety that lived somewhere under his ribs. Ridgewell Technologies wasn't just a job opportunity, it was the job opportunity. The kind people wrote Reddit posts about. I finally broke into tech after years of struggle. Benefits, salary, stability, maybe even a way out of the cramped apartment he shared with a guy who reheated fish in the microwave at 3 in the morning. You got this, he told himself in the mirror. He didn't fully believe it, but he liked the sound. The drive downtown was a battlefield of traffic, buses, and people who acted like turn signals were optional. Evan maneuvered through it all, AC blasting at maximum, because if he showed up sweating, he might as well go home. He rehearsed answers in the car. My greatest strength, problem-solving under pressure. My weakness, I get too invested in my work. No, that sounds cliché. He slapped the steering wheel lightly. Just be normal, Evan, don't overthink it. Ridgewell's headquarters towered above the city. Sleek glass, modern angles, the kind of building that made you straighten your posture just looking at it. Evan parked 3 blocks away to avoid a hefty garage fee and stepped onto the sidewalk, breathing in asphalt and ambition. He had 30 minutes until the interview. Perfect. The morning crowd rushed past him. Professionals with lattes, tourists with sunglasses, people hustling to places where decisions were made. Evan began crossing the street, adjusting the strap of his worn leather portfolio. That's when he heard it, a sharp, panicked yelp. Hey, look out. He turned instinctively. A girl, maybe early 20s, petite, dark blonde hair that caught the sunlight, was stumbling backward off the curb as a delivery truck barreled through the intersection. Her ankle twisted, and she fell, scraping her palm on the asphalt. The truck driver slammed on the brakes, horn screaming. Without thinking, Evan sprinted toward her. You okay? He asked, helping her sit up. Her breathing was shaky. She brushed loose strands of hair from her face, looking embarrassed and stunned at the same time. I wasn't paying attention, she admitted, voice soft, almost musical but tight with fear. God, that was so dumb. It happens, he scanned her quickly. Did you hit anything? Are you hurt? I'm fine, mostly my ankle. She winced as she tried to move it. It might be sprained, you should stay off it. A few bystanders had slowed but kept walking. Busy city logic. Someone else will help. Evan knelt beside her, ignoring the dust that clung to his neatly ironed pants. Do you have someone I can call? He asked. She shook her head. No, I'm here alone. I was supposed to meet someone, but honestly, I'm not great at navigating downtown. Her cheeks turned pink, equal parts embarrassment and lingering adrenaline. I can help you get somewhere safe. There's a bench over there. He nodded toward a shaded area. She bit her lip, hesitant. I don't want to be a burden. You're not, really. He helped her up carefully, letting her lean on his arm. She limped but managed. Once she was seated, he crouched in front of her, checking the angle of her foot again. Do you think you need a doctor? No, she said quickly, too quickly. He gave her a look. She exhaled. Okay, maybe, but I don't want an ambulance or anything. My day is already a mess. Evan smiled faintly. Well, everyone's day starts messy downtown. It's tradition. Her laugh was small but genuine. Thank you, she said, meeting his eyes. Really, you didn't have to help. Of course I did. She studied him for a moment. You're dressed up. Did I mess up your morning? Evan checked the time. 20 minutes until his interview. No, he lied. I've got time. She didn't look convinced. Where were you headed? An interview, he admitted. Her eyes widened. You should go, I'll be okay. He shook his head. I'm not leaving you until you're safe, and besides, interviews aren't everything. Which wasn't true. Interviews were everything, but something in her expression made the decision instinctive. Another wince crossed her face. I feel really awful about this. Don't, Evan said firmly. Life happens. He stood offering a hand. Let's get you to urgent care. There's 12BL. Ox over, you up for that? She hesitated, then nodded. He supported her weight again, and together they made slow progress down the sidewalk. His shirt was sticking to his back. The sun pressed down like a giant hand, but he kept pace steady and calm. What's your name? She asked. Evan. I'm Lily. Nice to meet you, Lily. Maybe next time under less perilous conditions. She smiled, deal. They reached the urgent care center, and Evan helped her inside. Cool air washed over them, the smell of antiseptic sharp but oddly comforting. The receptionist looked up. How can we help you today? She twisted her ankle, Evan explained. Lily took over. I tripped, he saved my life. The receptionist nodded with the expression of someone who heard 8 variations of that story daily. Fill this out, and we'll get you in as soon as we can. Lily sat down, and Evan hovered awkwardly beside her. She filled out the form slowly, wincing occasionally. When she finished, she looked at him again, really looked at him. You don't have to stay, she said gently. You're going to miss your interview. Evan checked the time. 10 minutes left. Traffic to the glass tower. Security check-in, elevator waits. He was out of time. He swallowed hard. It's okay, he said finally, even though his stomach twisted. There will be other opportunities. She frowned, but this one was important. He tried to shrug it off. You're more important. That came out more earnest than he intended, but it made her eyes soften in a way that temporarily erased the sting of lost chances. Thank you, Evan, she said quietly. I won't forget this. He sat with her until the nurse called her name, watching as she limped into the back. She looked over her shoulder once, as if wanting to say something else, but then she disappeared behind the door. A strange emptiness settled over him. This wasn't how the day was supposed to go. He took a slow breath, stood, and walked outside. The sun hit him again, merciless and bright. He loosened his collar, his feet dragging toward the street. For a moment he considered going to the interview anyway, making some excuse. But what? Traffic. A flat tire. Those were common lies, but they weren't true. And even if they believed him, he'd be late, unprofessional. A red flag. He sat on a bench, elbows on his knees, fingers running through his hair. A long exhale left him. Great job, Evan, he muttered. Hero of the Year, Unemployed Edition. His phone buzzed. A notification from Ridgewell. His heart jumped. He opened it. Thank you for your interest. Due to scheduling constraints and your failure to arrive at your designated interview time, we will be unable to proceed with your application. No second chance, no reschedule, just a corporate slap wrapped in professional courtesy. He leaned back, exhaling a shaky laugh, half frustration, half disbelief. Maybe he'd done the right thing. Maybe good things came back around. Karma, fate, whatever people called it. But sitting there in the heat, sweat soaking into the collar of his too-crisp shirt, he didn't feel virtuous. He felt like someone who just lost the one solid shot he'd had in years. He stared at the towering Ridgewell building in the distance. Should have just walked away, he whispered to himself. But even as he said it, he knew he wouldn't have. Helping Lily had felt right. He just wished doing the right thing didn't always come with such a steep price. A text buzzed, unknown number. Hi, it's Lily. I just wanted to say thank you again. If you're still nearby, I'd like to talk to you when I'm done, only if you have time. He stared at the message. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it meant everything. He typed slowly. Yeah, I'm here. He leaned back, heart unsettled, thoughts swirling like dust devils in the Arizona heat. He didn't know it yet, but this moment, this scorching, frustrating, hope-stained moment, was the start of something that would change his life in ways he couldn't begin to imagine. Something bigger than a lost interview. Something bigger than Ridgewell Technologies. Something that began with a girl he'd met by accident. And the truth he was completely unaware of. Lily wasn't just any girl. She was the CEO's daughter. And his life was about to get far, far more complicated. The automatic doors slid open again, releasing another breath of cold air from the urgent care center. Evan stood as Lily stepped out, her ankle wrapped neatly and a small medical boot strapped over it. She walked with a slow but steady limp. "There you are," she said, smiling like she'd been genuinely worried he might not still be around. He cleared his throat. "How's the ankle?" "Sprained," she said with a shrug. "Could have been worse. They said I shouldn't walk too much on it, but well, I guess that ship has sailed." "Glad you're okay," Evan said. "Because of you." The way she said it, soft, sincere like she had. And forgotten the moment he rushed toward her, made something in him ease just a little. The street was bustling, the heat shimmering over everything. Cars honked. People dodged each other. Somewhere a food truck generator hummed. "So," Lily began, her tone shifting awkwardly, "I know you said the interview will be fine, but—" "It's not," Evan said before he could stop himself. "They already emailed, I'm out." Her expression crumpled. "Oh my God, Evan, I'm so sorry." "It's not your fault," he forced a laugh. "I'm the idiot who didn't just walk away." "You're not an idiot. You helped someone who needed help. That should count for something." "Should, but didn't." He glanced at his car down the block. "Let me drive you wherever you need to go." No, you've already done enough. I don't want to ruin the rest of your day." "The rest of my day is already ruined," he joked, and she winced again. He immediately regretted it. Sorry, bad attempt at humor. "No, I get it," she hesitated. "But yeah, I'd like a ride if the offer's still open." He led her to the Chevy, opening the passenger door for her. She climbed in gingerly, and he circled to the driver's side. "Where to?" he asked, starting the engine. She paused, chewing her lip. "I'm actually supposed to meet someone at the Ashford Plaza Hotel." He blinked. "That's the fancy one, right? The place with the chandelier the size of a car." She laughed. "That's the one." "All right," he said, buckling up for the fancy ride. They pulled into traffic, the AC blowing full blast. For a while, neither spoke, just the city filling the silence with its horns and sirens and squeaking bus brakes. Lily tapped her fingers on her knee, nervous energy radiating from her. "You okay?" Evan asked. "Yeah, just thinking," she sighed. "I feel really, really guilty." "You shouldn't." "I should. You missed a huge opportunity because of me." "It was my choice, my responsibility." "But it wasn't fair," she said, turning to him. "You shouldn't have to pay a price for helping someone." He shrugged. "Life's not big on fairness." "That's depressing." "Accurate, though." She smiled sadly. "Still, I don't want to just walk away like nothing happened." He didn't know how to respond to that, so he kept his eyes on the road. Halfway to the hotel, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression tightened. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just family stuff." Evan nodded, not wanting to pry. "Overprotective family," she clarified, her tone dry enough to crack. "The kind that freaks out if I sneeze too loudly." He smiled. "That sounds intense." "You have no idea." She didn't elaborate, and again he didn't push. The Ashford Plaza Hotel rose in front of them like something out of a movie. Polished stone, glass, gold trim, valet in pressed uniforms. Evan felt suddenly underdressed in his wrinkled shirt and the residue of desperation clinging to him. He pulled up near the entrance. "You don't have to get out," Lily said quickly, probably noticing his hesitation. He stepped out anyway, walking around to help her. She placed her hand in his, steadying herself as she exited the car. "You're really nice," she said quietly. "Just doing what anyone would have done." "No," she said firmly. "Not anyone, trust me." For a moment, they simply stood there, the world rushing around them, valet attendants taking keys, tourists snapping photos, suited men talking into Bluetooth headsets. Amid all the noise, the moment felt strangely still. "You sure you're good from here?" he asked. She nodded but looked reluctant. "I wish I could make this right." "You already did," he lied again, not wanting her to feel worse. But she didn't believe him. I'll find a way," she said, determination flickering across her face. He stepped back. "Take care, Lily." "You too, Evan." She limped toward the revolving doors, turning once to look at him before disappearing inside. He got back into his car, feeling like the world had tilted in some direction he couldn't see yet. Hours passed. He went home, changed, sat on his cramped sofa staring at the TV without watching it. A dull heaviness settled over him, spreading through his chest like thick syrup. He kept replaying the interview email in his head. Maybe he should have run faster. Maybe he should have explained the situation to Ridgewell. Maybe. A knock at the door jolted him. He froze. Nobody visited him, ever. He approached the door cautiously and opened it a crack. A man in a charcoal suit stood there, sunglasses on despite the fading daylight. Mid-40s, clean cut, the expression of someone who negotiated mergers before breakfast. "Are you Evan Mercer?" the man asked. Evan opened the door fully. Yes, who are you?" The man reached into his jacket. Evan's heart seized. Then the guy pulled out a business card. "Mr. Mercer, my name is James Caldwell. I'm the executive assistant to the CEO of Igewell Technologies." Evan blinked so hard, he almost gave himself whiplash. "The CEO," he echoed. "Yes," Caldwell's voice was smooth, controlled. "May I come in?" Evan stepped aside cautiously. His apartment looked even smaller with the polished stranger inside it. Caldwell didn't seem judgmental, just observant. "I understand," the man began, "that you were scheduled to interview with Ridgewell today." Evan's stomach tightened. "Yeah, I didn't make it." "Correct, we noticed your absence." The tone was diplomatic, not accusing, not sympathetic, neutral. "Well," Evan muttered, "I got caught up helping someone who needed." "Yes," Caldwell cut in lightly, "we're aware." Evan asked slowly. The man nodded. "The CEO would like to meet with you." Everything in Evan's brain short-circuited. "The CEO," he repeated, "of Ridgewell." "Yes." "Why, I mean I missed my interview." "Nevertheless," Caldwell said, "he has requested your presence tonight if possible." "Tonight? As in now?" Evan stared. "Is this some kind of prank?" "No, Mr. Mercer. I assure you this is very real." Evan tried to gather himself. "Okay, but why? Did someone tell him what happened?" "Yes." "Who?" Caldwell paused. "His daughter." The words hit like a gut punch. Evan's mouth went dry. "His daughter." "Yes," Caldwell adjusted his cuffs. "Lily Ridgewell." All the air felt sucked out of the room. Lily, the girl he'd pulled out of the street. The girl with the sprained ankle. The girl who insisted she had an overprotective family. CEO's daughter. He sat down before his knees buckled. "You're kidding." "No." Evan's pulse thudded in his ears. I mean, is she okay? Did something else happen?" "She's fine," Caldwell said. "She told her father about the incident. He wants to speak with you personally." "Because I helped her." Caldwell hesitated a fraction of a second. "Among other things." Evan didn't like the vague tone of that. "Is he angry?" Evan asked. "No." "Are you sure?" he pressed. Caldwell actually smiled a little. "If he were angry, Mr. Mercer, you'd know." Which was not comforting. Evan swallowed. "What does he want to talk about?" "That's for him to tell you." Evan rubbed his face. I'm not even dressed for something like that. I look like I lost a fight with adulthood. There is no dress code, Caldwell said. He simply wants to talk. About what? Again, that measured pause. About the kind of person you showed yourself to be today. Evan stared at the floor, overwhelmed. Do you want to come with me? Caldwell asked gently. Or should I report back that you declined? Declined. As if anyone could decline a request from the CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in the Southwest. He rose slowly. Let me grab my shoes. The ride downtown felt different this time. Caldwell drove a sleek black sedan that smelled faintly of leather and power. Evan sat in the back seat, hands clasped tightly, watching the city fade into sunset hues. So, Evan ventured, what's your boss like? Caldwell considered. Demanding, impossibly intelligent, direct, protective of his daughter. Great, Evan muttered. Perfect. He's also fair, Caldwell added, and values integrity, which is why we're here. Evan didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified. As they approached the Ridgewell Tower, the evening lights illuminated the glass in warm gold, making the building glow. Caldwell pulled into a private underground entrance, security waving them through without hesitation. Inside, the elevator whooshed them upward, past the executive floors, past the boardroom levels, finally stopping at the top. The doors opened to a private floor. Quiet, expensive, designed in minimalist modern style with sweeping city views. The kind of place where decisions with too many zeros were made. Caldwell led him to a set of tall glass doors. He's inside, he said. Go ahead. Evan felt his heartbeat in his throat. He entered. The office was enormous, floor-to-ceiling windows, hardwood floors, shelves lined with awards, patents, and framed photos, including one of Lily as a young kid sitting on a man's shoulders. A man stood near the window, silhouetted by the fading sun. Tall, broad-shouldered, salt-and-pepper hair, the presence of someone used to commanding a room. He turned. Mr. Mercer, he said, stepping forward. His voice was deep, calm, and carried a weight that made Evan straighten instinctively. Thank you for coming. Evan swallowed. Yes, sir. I'm Daniel Ridgewell. I know, Evan said before catching himself. I mean, yes, of course, sorry. Daniel gave the faintest, amused nod. I understand today didn't go as planned. I know, sir, Evan admitted. Daniel studied him for a long moment, assessing him the way CEOs assessed markets or mergers. My daughter told me what happened, he said. Every detail. Evan's stomach twisted again. I didn't know who she was, I swear. I know, Daniel replied. If you had known, you might have acted differently. That's precisely why your actions mattered. Evan blinked. You helped her, Daniel continued, pacing slowly. Without hesitation, without calculation, without expectation of reward. She was in danger, Evan said quietly. And you were late to your interview because of it. Evan said nothing. Daniel moved closer. Do you know how many people walked past her before you intervened? Evan shook his head. 8, Daniel said. 8 people, businessmen, tourists, a college student, a mother with 2 teenagers, all of them saw her fall. None of them stopped. A quiet anger simmered under his words, not at Evan, but at the world. But you, Daniel said, you ran toward her without thinking. Evan shifted awkwardly. It's just the decent thing to do. Daniel smiled, slow, deliberate. Decent men are rarer than you might think. Silence filled the room, thick with meaning. Finally, Daniel spoke again. I want to offer you something. Evan blinked, sir. Daniel clasped his hands behind his back. You missed your interview, you lost that opportunity, but I do not believe in punishing someone for doing what is right. Evan's breath caught. I would like you to come work for Ridgewell, Daniel said. Evan froze. No, he didn't freeze. Time froze around him. Work for you, Evan repeated faintly. Yes, in our innovation development program. It's competitive, demanding, and typically reserved for candidates with impeccable credentials and perfect interviews. He paused. But character outweighs credentials, Mr. Mercer, and your character has already proven itself. Evan couldn't speak. It felt unreal, like he'd stepped into someone else's story. I don't want your answer tonight, Daniel continued. Think about it, speak with your family, consider what it means. Come back tomorrow morning and we'll discuss details. Evan found his voice. I don't even know what to say. You say nothing, Daniel replied. You simply decide whether you want to take the path life has placed in front of you. Evan nodded numbly. Daniel offered his hand. Evan shook it, the CEO's grip firm and steady. One more thing, Daniel said. Lily spoke very highly of you. Evan flushed. She's great. Daniel's expression was unreadable. She is, and I trust her judgment. He paused, which is another reason you're standing here. Evan swallowed. This day was unreal. Absolutely unreal. Daniel stepped back. Caldwell will see you out. Get some rest, Mr. Mercer. Tomorrow may be the first day of a very different life for you. Down the elevator, through the lobby, into the night air. Evan hardly spoke. Caldwell didn't push. When they reached his apartment, Caldwell stopped him before he got out. One small piece of advice, Caldwell said. Tomorrow, be honest, that's all he cares about. Evan nodded. And one more thing, Caldwell added. Lily really meant it when she said she wouldn't forget what you did. Evan looked at him. Does she usually call her dad when something bad happens? No, Caldwell said, not unless it's serious. Evan processed that. Good night, Mr. Mercer, Caldwell said. We'll see you tomorrow. Evan stepped out and watched the black sedan disappear into the night. He stood there under the flickering street lamp, his heart still trying to catch up with the day's events. He'd lost a job and been offered something 10 times better. He'd met a girl who turned out to be someone way more important than he realized. And tomorrow, everything might change. But beneath the thrill, beneath the awe, something tugged at him, a soft thread woven with uncertainty. Why did Daniel Ridgewell really want him there? And why did Lily look at him the way she did? There were parts of this story he didn't know yet. And some of them were about to hit him hard. The night before his meeting with Daniel Ridgewell felt endless. Evan lay awake in his small apartment, the ceiling fan ticking like a metronome of anxiety. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the CEO's face, the calm intensity, the way he spoke as though every word had been weighed, examined, and calculated. And then he saw Lily's face, soft, grateful, framed with sunlight and fear, and the warmth of someone who genuinely cared that he'd lost something because of her. He barely slept. When morning finally dragged itself into existence, Evan got up, showered, shaved, and put on the same white shirt. It wasn't fresh anymore. It wasn't crisp. But he did his best, ironing out the wrinkles and hoping opportunity didn't require fashion to open the door. By 8:30 a.m., he was standing at the base of the Ridgewell Tower again. This time he wasn't rushing. He wasn't sweating. He wasn't running late. But God, he was nervous. The front desk recognized his name instantly. Caldwell had ensured that. Mr. Mercer, the CEO is expecting you, take. The executive elevator. As he ascended, Evan's stomach tightened. The higher he went, the more the world below looked small, insignificant, distant. When the doors slid open onto the private floor, Daniel Ridgewell was standing there as if he'd been waiting. Morning, Mr. Mercer. Good morning, sir. Come in. They stepped into the office, but something was different today. Daniel wasn't pacing or analyzing or performing CEO theatrics. He looked thoughtful, preoccupied. Before we begin, Daniel said, there's something you should know. Evan's pulse quickened. Okay. Daniel motioned for him to sit. I read through your resume last night, he said. More carefully than the recruiters did, it seems. Evan tensed. I know my experience is. It's not about experience. Daniel cut him off gently. It's about the repeated setbacks, the inconsistency in employment history, the 6-month gap 2 years ago. He leaned forward slightly. What happened during that time, Evan? Evan felt the air thicken. He hadn't expected this, not so soon. He swallowed. My mother was sick. I quit my job to take care of her. Daniel's expression shifted, barely but enough. Is she well now? He asked. She passed, Evan said quietly. A heavy silence settled between them. Daniel exhaled slowly. I'm sorry. Thank you, Evan murmured. Another moment passed before the CEO straightened, regaining that incomparable steadiness. That, Daniel said, is exactly the kind of thing most interview candidates hide, and yet it tells me more about you than any accolade could. Evan wasn't sure what to say. He simply nodded. Daniel continued. As I mentioned yesterday, I want you to join the innovation program. But after reviewing your history, speaking with your references, and hearing Lily's account, I've decided to offer you something larger. Evan blinked. Larger. Yes, Daniel rose, walking to the window. A role working directly under me. Evan's breath stuttered. I don't understand, he managed. I have no advanced degree, no technical certifications, I'm not. What you are, Daniel said firmly, is ethical, reliable, sharp, and good under pressure. He turned back, his gaze direct. My daughter is right about you. Evan's brain short-circuited. Lily talked about me more than what happened on the street. Considerably more, Daniel said. Evan wasn't sure how to interpret that. Warmth, confusion, apprehension all tangled inside him. Daniel continued, You'll apprentice under me for 6 months. After that, assuming you perform well, you'll transition into operations management. It's a lot, Evan said, his voice small. Too much. No, why me? I'm nobody. Daniel looked at him with a restrained flicker of emotion. Evan, you were nobody to the world until yesterday. But to my daughter, for those moments when she was scared and hurt, you were somebody. And that matters more to me than any resume. Evan inhaled sharply. But before we move forward, Daniel added, I want you to understand something. Lily is my only child, my entire world. I would protect her with my life. His tone hardened. And I do not allow people into her orbit lightly. Evan tensed. This job, Daniel said, comes with proximity, responsibility, trust, and I need to know you won't misuse it. Do you understand? Evan nodded quickly. Yes, absolutely. Good, Daniel's intensity softened. The offer stands if you want it. Evan opened his mouth. When the office door swung open, he turned. Lily stood there. Hair pulled into a messy bun, soft blue sweater, medical boot on her right foot. She looked surprised to see him, but also relieved, and something else he couldn't decipher. Oh, she said, cheeks flushing. I didn't know you were here yet. Daniel frowned lightly. I told you I had a meeting. I know, she said, limping inside, but I thought, never mind. She looked at Evan again, her eyes warm, worried, curious. I'm glad you came, she said softly. He smiled before he could stop himself. Me too. Daniel watched them carefully. Like a CEO. Like a father. Like a man who understood very clearly what was unfolding. Lily, Daniel said, give us a moment. She hesitated but nodded. Sure, I'll be down the hall. As she passed Evan, she paused. You look better today, she said, her tone light but sincere. Trying to, he replied. She smiled, small and real, before stepping out and closing the door. Silence filled the room again. The dynamic had changed. Daniel folded his hands. I want you to take the job, Evan, but we must be clear with one another. Evan's stomach tightened. Clear about what? Daniel's voice lowered, not hostile but firm. My daughter likes you. Evan nearly choked on air. I mean, she's just being kind. Don't lie, Daniel interrupted calmly. Not to me and not to yourself. Evan looked away, heat spreading up his neck. Daniel continued, I am not forbidding anything, but if you accept a role under my leadership, you will maintain professionalism. You will not pursue her while you are working directly with me. Evan stiffened. Sir, I wasn't planning anything like that. Good, Daniel said. Because your career, your future, and your reputation depend on boundaries. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Evan said. But the words felt heavy, sticky, conflicted. Because something inside him had shifted the moment Lily looked at him with those soft blue eyes. Daniel smoothed his suit jacket. Now, do you want this job? Evan stared at the floor. His dream job. His chance to escape instability. His opportunity to matter. But could he take it knowing the unspoken complication standing between him and the CEO's daughter? He lifted his gaze. Yes, he said quietly, I want it. Daniel nodded once, firm and satisfied. Good, you start Monday. Evan rose, feeling both exhilarated and terrified. But before he left, Daniel added, And Evan, if you hurt her, even unintentionally, there is no force on earth that will protect you from the consequences. Understood. A cold ripple went down his spine. Understood. As Evan stepped into the hallway, he exhaled shakily. The lights felt too bright, the walls too tall, his legs too unsteady. Evan. He turned. Lily was leaning against the wall, trying not to put weight on her injured foot. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded, even though his chest was a chaotic storm. What happened? She pressed gently. Did he scare you? She sighed. He can be intense. He doesn't mean to be, well, actually he does, but... I got the job, Evan said. Her eyes widened. You did. Yeah, I start Monday. For a moment she just stared, stunned. Then her face lit up, bright, pure, warm. That's amazing, she said. Evan, that's, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Her reaction hit him unexpectedly hard. No one had been happy for him like that in years. She stepped closer, hesitant but drawn in. I told him you were special. He laughed nervously. Special is not usually the word people use for me. Well, they should, she said. His heart kicked. Before either of them spoke again, Daniel's voice echoed down the hall. Lily. She closed her eyes. Oh boy, that tone means he's pretending not to be suspicious. Evan swallowed. I should probably go. She nodded, but disappointment flickered across her face. Hey, she said softly before he turned away. Can I see you again? Time froze. He shouldn't. He couldn't. Not with the job, not with her father, not with everything at stake. But the moment her eyes locked with his, hopeful, nervous, sincere, his resolve cracked. Yeah, he whispered, I'd like that. Her smile was like sunlight breaking through cloud. But when Evan stepped into the elevator, the doors quietly closing between them, that smile twisted inside him into something bittersweet. He'd just accepted the best job of his life, and simultaneously stepped into the most dangerous emotional territory imaginable. Because he wasn't supposed to want anything from Lily Ridgewell. Not friendship. Not closeness. Not whatever electric thing had sparked between them. But he did. And sooner or later, it was going to cost him. More than any missed interview ever had. The next week at Ridgewell Technologies felt like stepping into another life, one where Evan couldn't fully convince himself that he belonged. He arrived early every day, ties slightly crooked, nerves tucked under his collar like a secret. Daniel Ridgewell introduced him to department heads, walked him through ongoing projects, and assigned him tasks that felt both important and terrifying. It was a crash course in corporate operations, and Evan kept waiting for someone to tap him on the shoulder and say, sorry, mistake, you don't fit here. But no one did. Daniel was demanding, yes, but also strangely invested in Evan's growth. He wasn't warm, but he was clear, focused, razor-sharp. And every time he offered guidance, Evan felt the weight of the opportunity, heavy but exhilarating. Yet even as he found a rhythm with the job, another tension brewed beneath the surface. Lily. They crossed paths every few days, accidentally at first, or so she claimed, though Evan suspected she wandered certain halls at certain times with a certain intention. She'd wave, smile, ask how his first week was going. Always too quick, too bright, too genuine. He kept the exchanges short. Not because he didn't want more, God, he did, but because Daniel's warning echoed in him like a pulse. If you hurt her, there is no force on earth that will protect you. So he stayed cautious, polite, distant. Until Friday. The day everything unraveled. The morning started normally enough, Evan working through departmental reports, adjusting projections, trying not to drown in spreadsheets with names like FY strategy alignment. Daniel was away in a board meeting, Caldwell passing through occasionally like a ghost in a tailored suit. At noon, Evan took a rare break and stepped outside to eat lunch near the plaza fountain. The air was warm but breezy, and for a moment he let himself feel almost proud. He was doing it. He was surviving this impossible new world. Then he heard her voice. Do you always sit alone, like a mysterious brooding character in a movie? Evan looked up. Lily stood in front of him, boot finally off, wearing jeans and a Ridgewell hoodie, hair pulled into a loose ponytail. He tried not to smile, failed. Hey, shouldn't you be in class or somewhere less risky for your ankles? She sat beside him on the edge of the fountain. They said I could come to campus next week, so you're stuck with me roaming around until then. He laughed softly. God help Ridgewell. She nudged him. How's the first week? Intense, kinda scary, pretty amazing. Her eyes softened. I knew you'd fit here. Not sure fit is the right word, he said. I think they're planning to mold me like clay. Well, at least you're pretty clay. He stared at her, stunned. She froze. Oh my God, I didn't forget I said that. Kill me. He laughed, an unrestrained, relieved laugh he didn't know he needed. Lily, it's fine. Is it because you're turning red? Oh, totally fine then. She groaned, covering her face. My brain-to-mouth filter is broken. Mine too, he admitted, quieter, at least when you're around. Her hands lowered. She looked at him, really looked at him, and something charged the air. A moment stretched. Warm. Dangerous. Inevitable. Evan, she said softly, why are you avoiding me? His heart stumbled. I'm not avoiding you, he lied. Yes, you are. Her voice wasn't accusing, just sad. Did my dad say something to you? He hesitated. He just wants things to stay professional. Her expression tightened. Professional, she repeated bitterly. That's his favorite word. Lily. He's trying to control your life the way he controls mine, she cut in. He thinks he can put walls around everything he cares about, but that's not fair to you, or me. Maybe, Evan said carefully, but he didn't threaten me, he was just clear. She scoffed, clear, yeah, that's the word for it. He lowered his voice. I don't want to lose this job. You won't. You don't know that. She reached for his hand instinctively, and then stopped herself, pulling back. He felt the absence like a cold wind. Evan, I don't want to make your life harder, she whispered. You're not, he said. You're just making it complicated. Should I leave you alone? She asked. Her voice wavered. He shook his head immediately. No, I don't want that. Her eyes glimmered with something fragile and bright. Then a shadow fell over them. A voice cut through the moment. Lily. They both turned. Daniel Ridgewell stood a few yards away, jaw tight, eyes harder than Evan had ever seen them. Lily straightened. Dad. Inside now. Her face flushed with embarrassment and anger. Why, she demanded. Daniel's eyes flicked to Evan, sharp, probing warning. We'll talk about it privately. No, she said, standing. Say whatever you want to say right here. Daniel's expression shifted. Surprise, frustration, disappointment all tangled together. Lily, this is not appropriate. Neither is policing who I talk to. I'm not policing anything, Daniel said, though his tone betrayed him. I'm protecting. Protecting me, Lily snapped, or protecting your company. Her voice cracked at the edge, heat rising from old wounds that clearly existed long before Evan arrived. Daniel inhaled sharply. We are not having this argument in public. Then stop treating me like I'm 12. Several people nearby paused mid-stride. The plaza suddenly felt too open, too exposed. Evan stood quickly. Maybe I should. No, Lily insisted, turning to him. Don't go. Lily, Daniel warned, voice low and dangerous. She took a breath, grounding herself. I like him, she said, staring directly at her father. The words hit Evan like a physical blow. Daniel froze. A silence deep enough to drown in settled between them. Then slowly, the CEO turned his gaze on Evan. Measured, calculated, piercing. Do you, Daniel asked quietly, feel the same? Evan's throat closed. Because there it was, the line he wasn't supposed to cross, the choice he wasn't supposed to face. Say no and he'd lie. Say yes and he'd risk everything. His life, his job, his future. He looked at Lily. Her eyes were vulnerable, hopeful, terrified. She deserved honesty. He swallowed hard. Yes, he whispered, I do. The plaza fell away. The world shrank to the three of them. Daniel closed his eyes briefly, a storm gathering behind them. Evan, he said, voice lethal in its restraint, you and I had an agreement. Evan nodded. We did, and I've tried to respect it. But you Brock. It, Daniel said. No, Evan replied, steadier than he expected. I've been nothing but professional. I didn't pursue anything. I haven't done anything inappropriate. I haven't crossed a line. But you want to, Daniel said. Evan hesitated, and that hesitation was loud enough. Daniel exhaled, the sound carrying years of paternal fear. Lily, you don't understand the position you're putting him in. Yes, I do, she said. I'm giving him the same choice you gave him, to tell the truth. Daniel turned away, hands on his hips, trying to maintain control. Lily stepped closer to her father. Dad, I know you're scared, but you can't build walls around me, not forever. He didn't answer. Not at first. Then, you think I'm trying to control you, he said quietly. But the truth is, I'm trying to protect what I almost lost. Lily blinked, thrown. What are you talking about? Daniel's voice softened, pain threading through it. You were 3 years old when your mother died, and I promised myself I'd never fail you again. He looked at her fully now. I know I'm overprotective, I know I grip too tightly, but I can't. His voice cracked, barely audible, lose the last piece of her I have. The rawness stunned both Lily and Evan. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Lily stepped forward and wrapped her arms around her father. He held her tightly, his face buried in her hair, years of tension softening just a fraction. When they finally separated, Daniel wiped his jaw, regaining composure. He turned to Evan. Do you care about her? He asked plainly. Yes, Evan said. Would you hurt her? No, never. Daniel searched his face for lies. Found none. Finally, he exhaled, a long, reluctant surrender. I won't interfere, he said. Not if you both proceed with maturity and caution, but understand this, there will be boundaries. Evan nodded. I expect that. And your job, Daniel added, will depend entirely on your performance, not your relationship with my daughter. If anything compromises your work, the consequences will be immediate. Clear. Clear, Evan said. Lily held her breath. Does that mean you're okay with this? Daniel gave her a weary, affectionate look. I'm not okay, he admitted, but I'm trying. A smile broke across her face, a soft, grateful smile that finally released the tension in her shoulders. She reached for Evan's hand. This time she didn't stop herself. He took it. Warm, certain, right. Daniel watched, uneasy but resigned. "Just take care of each other," he murmured. Lily squeezed Evan's fingers. "We will." As Evan walked Lily back into the building, the world felt strangely lighter. Dangerous, yes, but alive. The kind of alive that came from finally telling the truth. She looked up at him. "You really meant what you said." He nodded, every word. Her voice softened. "Me too." They stepped into the elevator. Before the doors closed, she whispered, "So, can I take you out for coffee after work?" He laughed, "Pretty sure I'm supposed to be the one asking." She shrugged. "Well, I figured I'd get a head start." "Then yeah," he said, "coffee sounds great." The doors slid shut. A new beginning sealed between them. Over the next months, Evan rose quickly, faster than anyone in the innovation program. Not because of favoritism, but because he worked harder than he had ever worked in his life. Daniel watched him closely, tested him relentlessly, pushed him without mercy. And Evan met every challenge. Meanwhile, he and Lily built something slow, steady, real. They didn't rush. They didn't hide. They simply chose each other every day despite the pressure around them. Daniel never fully relaxed, but he learned to trust Evan the way Lily already did. And one evening, nearly a year after the day Evan pulled Lily out of the street, Daniel stepped into his office with something surprising in his usually guarded expression. "I was wrong about you," he said. Evan blinked. "Sir." "You're good for this company," Daniel said, then he softened. "And good for her." Evan didn't know what to say. "Thank you," he managed, "for trusting me." Daniel clasped his shoulder. "Just keep earning it." Evan nodded. He intended to. Sometimes life unraveled in a single moment. An email, a missed interview, a girl falling in the street. Sometimes it rebuilt itself the same way. But no matter how big the twist, how dramatic the timing, or how impossible the odds, sometimes doing the right thing, even when it costs you everything, becomes the beginning of the life you were meant to have. And Evan Mercer finally had his. Along with the girl he never expected, the job he never imagined, and the future he thought he'd lost. All because he chose to help a stranger. A stranger who changed his world. Forever.